So welcome to the Rock and Roll Report. We're here with Guy from Acid Tongue from Seattle. He's currently on tour and he's playing 8mm bar this evening. And we're going to get a little background on Guy's life story, I guess, and reasons for, I don't know, choosing rock and roll as his chosen religion. So first off, we're going to ask Guy about his childhood. So Guy, where did you grow up? And tell us a little bit about the surroundings growing up and your first encounters with music and that sort of stuff when you were a youngster.
I grew up on the West Coast in the United States, and I was born in San Francisco. My parents met there. My mom's family is originally from Mexico, and my dad's side is from Chicago. They met in San Francisco, and then we moved down to LA as kids. We were there for a while. But my dad was kind of a criminal, so he got in a lot of trouble in California, and we moved to Arizona, and then to Tacoma, Washington, and then eventually we settled down in a suburb of Seattle called Kirkland. And that's where I went to like junior high school, and I learned how to play guitar and got really involved in music out there. You know, as a background to all of this, like my parents had good music taste. So despite the chaos of my upbringing and all the moves, I think we moved like 9 times as kids to like different schools, you know, school districts, things like that. So I had to develop sort of a defense mechanism of being friendly, being sociable, which is why I think I have the style I do as a front person now and as just someone who operates a music festival. And so I got really into guitar. I mean, Seattle at that time, it was the early 2000s, so we're at the shadows of grunge. And it was an environment where you're watching sort of that grunge era die. And then, you know, right when I'm coming of age, the fucking White Stripes.
Wow, yeah.
The Strokes. It was LCD Sound System. You know, all these bands start breaking, and it was like, fuck, I can do that. You know, and it really, like, validated my love of classic rock and soul and some of these other genres that, you know, a couple years earlier weren't as in vogue the same way, and all of a sudden it wasn't so like music was like now. Music was sort of this lens to the past, and I was really fascinated by the past, and that was really how I developed as a guitar player. So I really made it a career right away. I went to university in Seattle, but even then I knew this was what I wanted to do, and I started pursuing it as my craft like almost immediately upon graduating high school. And it's just grown from there. I would say it's only in the last few years that I'm really living off being a musician and a creator, but even when I was really young, I just had such a passion and drive for this that's really never gone away. It's gotten refined.
Cool. Yeah, just to touch on a few things there and leading into what we're going to talk about next. It was a very kind of special time, you could say, in rock and roll, like early 2000s, for young kids. So from my experience, I was growing up in New Zealand, and that was the first era that, unless my parents had a killer record collection like yours, but the internet was massively eye-opening. You know, I was on LimeWire and Napster and all that nasty stuff, just downloading whole discogs of any band that I was into, you know. It was still that era, I don't know how it was in the States, but you could download anything in New Zealand. And so it was a really special time in rock and roll for people of our generation, and it's kind of, interestingly, a little bit like nostalgic looking back on that time now.
Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of kids who went through the early 2000s, I'm sure that kids who went through the early 90s and mid 80s and all those periods also have a massive nostalgia for that era. But I think what's so special about 2000s is now we're having the first revival of it.
Yeah.
We're right at the revival point where, like, you know, Oasis aren't early 2000s band, but they were massive in that era, so they've reformed.
I saw them in 2005, actually.
There we go. Okay,
Yeah.
I never saw Oasis, and it was one of my, like...
It was shit.
It
was fucking shit. I mean, I had fun. I knew every song, you know, but it was absolute shit. And it didn't even sell out the venue there. They didn't even play in Seattle. There's like a satellite city called Everett that's really blue collar, and they couldn't get a proper booking in the Seattle market, so they did it at this arena in Everett.
Oh my god!
And it wasn't. I don't even think it was half full.
Oh man!
Can you imagine?
That's crazy. I mean,
yeah, it was just like a few thousand people, in this room, and like everybody was singing along. Everybody knew every lyric, but like I think people were like, "Fuck Wonderwall" so hard by then.
Fair enough, and that was a thing.
Yeah,
I forgot about. I recently I started clicking back on like my own association with the band, and it's right. Oasis really were not cool for a long time because of Wonderwall. It's true. I mean, honestly, when you listen to the song now as well, you're like, how the hell do people like? It's a crazy song.
Yeah,
it's crazy chords and the bass line's mental. I was learning the bass line the other day. It's the most melodic part of the whole song.
Totally.
It's a crazy bass line. And you don't even hear it in the recording because Liam's vocal is so loud.
Yeah.
It's absolutely peaked out. The vocal was crazy loud in that mix. It worked. Obviously, they made a lot of money from it, but it definitely wasn't indie rock, I guess. And indie rock would say Libertines, the Strokes, obviously.
Libertines fucking sucked.
I hate the Libertines. Sorry, again.
Okay.
I'm not a Libertines fan.
I don't like that they're crystallizing into this like better thing because they were such shit back then.
Oh, I'm not like, guy. I love that.
I'm like so annoyed that like Pete Doherty is somehow some icon. If you're like, this is just a fucking crackhead that makes shit music.
I'm also
dated a model, but whatever.
Yeah. I'm fully. So our mutual friend of ours is a big Libertines fan. Both. Gilberto's played in both our bands, actually.
Oh, yeah, he is. I forgot. Yeah, he actually likes the Libertines.
And we would have not arguments, but like fun joshing each other in the van, because I'm an Oasis kid, and I was like, man, the Libertines is like, that's his band, that's his big one. I'm like,
yeah.
So yeah, and that era of indie rock really refreshed, like, not that we liked all the bands, it's like some of the bands weren't to our taste, but I mean, the Strokes is another one.
The Strokes were epic to me.
They were epic, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
First two records were epic.
First two records, you stuck that on a burn CD. It fit on one burn CD, and I would just have
tracks,
that on
24
repeat.
tracks.
Yeah, repeat in the car, in the Jeep Cherokee that I drove around in high school.
Wow. Yeah, so like going to the 2000s, and like I remember from New Zealand, this is a very strange thing, and we were talking about cultural appropriation before we started filming, but so all the kids in New Zealand in the early 2000s dressed like they were from Seattle.
Yeah.
Straight up. It was like, I mean, like, and I was kind of more, let's say, like Britpop dressing, whatever. I was into Adidas.
You look like you're backing up Oasis next week, actually.
Yeah, it's
you
like,
but I always on stage.
I was always loving this stuff. Like, when I was a kid, like, I was always dressing like, loving this
Where's
stuff.
my flannel? I literally showed up in a flannel.
Where is your flannel?
It's back
backstage.
Yeah.
And that was the style. So I just wanted to ask, seeming that, so, in New Zealand, like, kids were ripping off the Seattle look. What was the style like in 2000 Seattle? What were kids dressing like?
Okay, it was fucking Abercrombie and Fitch.
Wow, okay.
Hollister, PacSun, Zoomies, Like, I'm literally wearing... I still haven't changed that much. I've got my Converse All-Stars on and my fucking... My surf outfit,
Nice. Yeah, this is
a punk shirt, I don't think anything has actually changed for me in my entire life. Oh, I wore low socks with these, so, I forgot to wear the high ones, but, like, otherwise, like, that's it. I haven't stopped dressing like this since I was, like, 15.
Wow.
That's not changed, even the stupid flannel shit. But, like, actually, I remember when the Strokes and White Stripes and all that shit broke.
Yeah.
I was already starting to like vintage shop a bit at that age, and go and get like the 70s shit nobody was buying, and it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
But I was really into that music, and then suddenly it was cool.
Yeah.
And I remember like the way I was dressing, suddenly other people started like looking like they went to a vintage shop, and it was like because I remember when you used to be able to go to a shop like this and things were like a few bucks.
I know.
Where you could get it for the weight of it,
Yeah.
Now like the shops that used to do that. You go in and it's like $150 for like a t-shirt from that era or something. Wow, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I do remember that changing. But even then, like when all that shit broke, it wasn't like everybody was dressing like that. Like it was still Hollister, Abercrombie and Fitch, PacSun, Zoomies, Bill, for a long time. Like I think
that's crazy. Yeah.
That didn't go away. I just think Seattle looked like everywhere else with just a little bit more grunge to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone did wear flannel. Honestly, the biggest thing is that has never fucking changed is Seattle just doesn't dress differently. It's just North Face jackets.
Wow.
It's North Face jackets. It's fucking like beanies. Everybody's got their fucking beanie or whatever. Everybody's doing that look, you know.
It's kind of interesting because the first time I went to Seattle was 2018, I believe, and it looks a lot like New Zealand.
It does?
I mean, all of Northern California and further north, it looks a lot like a certain part of New Zealand, which is like central North Island, you could say. And obviously, like outdoor wears, New Zealand's like big for that too. So I remember that, but I feel like it's interesting you say that about vintage shopping, because I remember when it became cool in Auckland to like try to find that sort of stuff, and it was cheap as well, man. No one wanted it, you know. It's like you could really do, you know, have your pick of anything, leather jackets.
I know.
Cool
now
stuff.
You can't have anything.
Now it's like, now I run a vintage shop and I'm the one, but
you're gouging.
No, I don't know.
I'm kidding.
Good
You're in Berlin. There's no gouging here. Honestly, they're just you know. No such thing as gouging in Berlin. It's just everything's expensive here.
We were talking about that before. Berlin has become increasingly more, every big city in the world, but Berlin in the last 10 years has become incredibly more expensive than it was.
Who do they think they are, man? New York City?
And the weird thing about Berlin is like, if you turned the camera, if you could see what me and Guy are seeing, like,
it's not fucking worth this money.
There's this graffiti everywhere, and it's cool. I love that stuff, but like, man, it does look rough. Like,
I want to take a piss on that doorway and then spend $1 on a coffee. I don't want to get charged like fucking €6 or something to go get a coffee. And
that, like, I remember that process happened to Auckland as well, because Auckland was very grungy, like, late 90s, and then it became Caféville, man. It became like, really, like, honestly, like...
Caféville, is that our new gentrification term?
Yeah, it was like...
Cortadoville.
Super nice, like, flat white city.
Flat white city.
Yeah, New Zealand Australians love them, but like the...
Oh my god, flat whites are what I'm going to start calling the normies in Seattle.
I mean, you could call it this.
Oh, the flat whites.
Then here come the flat whites. It's not a bad, like...
my friends, the flat whites.
I always thought, like, a Byron Bay band, is it, you know, because Byron Bay is probably one of the most gentrified areas of Australia. And it's probably where the flat white comes from. New Zealanders will argue it's from New Zealand, but it'd be a great. I want to start like a real kind of like weak psych.
Oh yeah.
Called the Flat Whites from Byron Bay.
No distortion allowed.
No distortion. All chorus. All reverb.
All chorus.
And like
a little flange for some reason.
Yeah, a little bit of on the drums though. You know?
On the drums, we flange.
On the drums, you know. So it's like subtle, you know. And that like. That changed really fast. So like New Zealand had like a strong punk scene, you know, and I just wanted to ask about like how that changed in Seattle from grunge, and then obviously indie coming in, and like them kind of being at tension. Like in my personal experience, they were at tension for a bit. You know, the kids that were into like hard rock and music, like I had in New Zealand we had a thing called Westies, which the Australians were called Bogans. And they hated indie rock. That was not their thing, you know.
Oh yeah.
They were more like they listened to a lot of stuff like Flipper and like stuff like this, you know. It was like a bit more like heavy, if you like.
Well, it was both in Seattle, like because I remember, you go into any rehearsal space in Seattle still, but especially in that era, you would have these smelly cigarette fucking soaked leather jacket dudes that were a few years older than you that did not want grunge to die.
Okay.
And they were like, I'm here to fucking bring in their 36 pack of Budweiser, and they're fucking throwing it down. And so these guys keep rehearsal spaces alive. You know, that's who's paying our rent.
Yeah,
you know, these motherfuckers in there. The weekend warriors were coming in.
Yeah.
But I do remember at that period of time when I was coming of age, like everybody was this, you know,
the side swipe,
the side swipe,
the indie side swipe,
the indie side swipe hair, and for some reason everybody had like the micro Korg,
yes,
and they're fucking synth punk, and they're doing the side swipe hair, and it's like the little skinny jeans and shit was such a thing, like that was like every band, or it was the type of indie where they had like a fucking French horn.
Okay,
you know, or a violin, you know, and you're like, why is your dorky ass friend like stage right now involved at all?
Wow.
Who's this fucking theremin player, and why does it have to be on every fucking song? You know, and there was just this phase, you know, architecture in Helsinki, like bands like this, where you're just like. Fucking so annoying. I'm so glad that that's not cool right now. I don't want to hear an Architecture in Helsinki record again. I barely want to hear Sufjan Stevens, and like he's still got a big career, and that drives me nuts. You know, it's just not the kind of folk I want to get into. It's not the kind of. It's not fucking real to me. You know, it just feels like Hollywood folk.
Yeah. And that, you're right, man. That was we should mention as a massive part of the 2000s too. Was this
folk revival?
Folk revival in New Zealand.
Fleet Foxes were good.
Yeah,
and everything that came after that.
I never listened to them.
Fleet Foxes started out freak folk. So that first EP, those first few records. I mean, they're gorgeous. They did it at Bear Creek Studios, which is just down the road from where I grew up, and it's this massive. It feels like it's in the woods. It's in this like valley near where I grew up, and it's just like wine country in this little micro wine country area.
Okay.
And they've got this studio, and they've done so many legendary records. Like so many amazing bands have recorded there, and that's where Fleet Foxes developed.
Damn,
that fucking sound.
Yeah,
man. It's a Helplessness Blues and all that. But then you've got the Lumineers after that.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Head and the Heart.
Yeah.
And you just got. Why does everybody have to trash what we love?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It was a trash.
Like, why do we have to do this to things, man? Why does Wolf Mother have to exist?
Oh, Wolf. Okay, there we go. Now we're really cooking with gas. Wolf Mother.
Why does Wolf Mother have to exist? Why do the Vines have to exist?
There's another two Australian bands.
Oh, God.
And Wolf Mother.
Why do Australians fuck everything up? Fucking King Gizzard took the fucking OC's 2010 sound and just raped it to death for years. And now then they follow John Dwyer into the metal zone.
Yeah.
They're just chasing him down, and they're like, how do we commoditize John Dwyer's life more, you know? How do we make money off of John Dwyer more?
I feel sorry, man.
Yeah, no, they're just totally like staring at him from afar, like, I can do that. I can do that. And they're doing it over and over again.
And you're right.
And it drives me fucking nuts, man.
And there was a bunch of
I mean, I get it. I rip off shit too. Like, we all rip shit off, but there's something about just like identifying a playbook from an artist and just taking it to the T that just drives me nuts. I'm like, do something different with it.
And I think John Dwyer, like, I don't know the man, but I feel like he did receive a lot of people. Like, I mean, the whole thing was like, the whole era was.
Everybody wants high tempo, especially white kids love to like just play the same fucking tempo.
Yeah.
And they just do this fast tempo, and then they can freak out on like blues scale shit.
Yeah.
With like all their pedals on.
Yeah.
You know, and then they don't like the sound of their voice, so they just drench it in
reverb,
and they do like the yelps and shit, and you're like, that's not music.
Yeah.
Like, they don't understand soul music.
Yeah.
They don't know what a backbeat is. They don't know how to like syncopate their fucking rhythms. You know.
Yeah.
They're just like, fuck me, I'm white. And it's the same thing. Dun, 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 and it's just over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, I feel like, it's funny you bring up Wolf Mother, because I remember like, okay, Wolf Mother were a big band, you know? And weirdly, the first Tame Impala EP before the album, that sounds a lot like Wolf Mother, if you've ever heard that one with the crazy Indigenous Australian kind of cover.
Yeah.
That was like Wolf Mother done well, you know? And I do know that the kids from Wolf Mother were like 16 when they broke. They were like babies, man.
I hope Australians don't think I hate them.
No, I'm sure they won't. And there are some amazing, like, we're not listening to
there's a lot of great, I don't want to start listing great Australian bands, because we could do that for hours.
Yeah, we could do it for hours. There's so many.
Trust me, I refuse to name any now.
No, really, there's some amazing, like, and I can say Lost Animal being number one on my list. That band is incredible. Shout outs to Shags. That band is absolutely incredible.
And One of the Sniffers, man.
Yeah, there's so
that's
many good
doing it right. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Cosmic Psychos,
have
man.
some
really
fucking charisma.
It's true.
You know what I mean? She's got
she's
so much
massive
charisma, man. Like, I don't think I can think of any artist right now that has more charisma than Amy.
That's true, yeah. I once, I did, this was 2000, not even that long ago, 2 years ago, I was like kind of a stagehand at Astra for them. And I can say she was full lol. She cracked me up from the moment I arrived to the moment I left. And super friendly.
You can tell.
Super lovely.
But see, that's it. She's not faking it, man.
You know, she's
wearing her heart on her sleeve on stage and off stage, and that's like what people want, you know.
Yeah, she's agree with that.
You just gotta really open yourself up to your audience.
Yeah.
And it just goes a long way.
Open your heart. So Guy, his band are playing tonight at 8mm, which is, I don't know, probably, in my opinion, the coolest venue in Berlin. One of the smallest. But in terms of culture, one of the most important. Yeah. Probably I'd say in the whole city. I don't know if it's any.
I just want to give a shout out to Berghain and ask them to book us next time. Like,
they want to do the main room next time.
Like, get us in Berghain.
Yeah, cranking loud. But
please, huge subwoofers, the whole thing.
Blast them.
Yeah, blast us.
But 8mm is there's a many important venues in Berlin, but 8mm is one of the most important. And I just want to ask, like, So after tonight, we're about to what's left for the rest of the tour? You got a bunch.
We're
to go.
doing a psychedelic festival in Munich tomorrow.
Right.
I wouldn't argue that we're a psych band at all,
Yeah,
but we
no,
do a lot of psychedelic events because
That's
we talk about drugs a lot and we play.
And acid tongue.
We take from the 60s playbook. I feel like we're pulling more from the garage playbook and the soul playbook.
Yeah.
And then just fusing that with punk.
Yeah.
That's really
It's a great
it. So
fusion.
these are things that don't really cross into psych as much, you know. I'm always trying to stay out of that.
Yeah.
But we trip out, we do our solos, you know, my vocals do go there sometimes, like the content definitely goes there. So we're gonna do that festival, we're gonna hit another town in Germany and then go into France for a couple days. We'll play Rennes and Bordeaux. We already hit Paris, that sold out last week, which was super cool.
Where was it, Supersonic or?
No, we did
Yeah.
La Mecca.
I don't know if I've ever been to that club.
It's cool. It's,
I love Paris as well. It's what a place to play.
yeah. And then Spain, Switzerland, Italy,
Wow. Okay, it's big time.
and that's like 3 weeks from now by the time
Yeah,
it's
that's
done. It's
crazy.
just stretches. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still coping with the fact that I'm on the front end of this tour today.
Yeah.
Like
It's kind of
that's-
dawned on you how far it is to go. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of touring is you just sort of have to like be okay with just today.
Yeah.
And not worry about every next day. You get through each gig one at a time.
All the time. Yeah. Put one foot in front of
And
the
the more I'm doing that, the better the gigs are getting.
Cool.
Because I think the more I psych myself out and say, fuck, I've got a month to go, I can't take it, that's when I lose my voice.
Yeah.
That's when I get sick, you know,
Mhm.
that's when I stop eating well. And like,
Mm.
right now, despite anything else going on in all of our lives, we're all a unit.
Yeah.
And we sound really good every night. And we know we have a job to get done when we get into the room. And I feel like every member of the band right now is just there to get it done. And it feels so good to feel that between each other because it's not always like that. I mean, I've been in so many bands over the years where the goal is drug use or sex or something else.
Yeah. Okay.
And right now, there's no other goal than fucking burning down that stage every fucking night. Like, we're not thinking about anything else.
And it's dope.
And it's fucking awesome.
That is
I don't
dope.
think I've ever been on a tour like that.
That's
period.
awesome.
I've always had other motivations, and I just don't give a fuck about anything right now but making sure we kill it.
Awesome, man. So if you're in the next 3 weeks, you see this should be published in a week or so's time. Go check out Acid Tongue, or if you missed it, go check out their records. Sick band, probably one of my favorite bands from the West Coast. I first seen through Gilberto, both of us share a booking agent, and Gilberto's playing bass, and I didn't know anything about the band, and I loved the show, absolutely loved the show. So yeah, if you're out and you want to see a great rock and roll show, Acid Tongue is your number. That was the Rock and Roll Report. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much more to come, and peace.